Hey everyone, John here! And Square have just released a patch for Dragon Quest III HD-2D on Nintendo Switch 2. And this is awesome, because of course 1 and 2 are coming up to the system, and it would be very weird if 3 were an outlier still running at Switch 1 specs. And this is a Switch 2 specific patch, despite it still saying it's Switch 1 software. This is in line with games like Link's Awakening, Echoes of Wisdom, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. They still say they're Switch 1 games, but these are Switch 2 level enhancements. The Switch 1 did not get a performance and quality mode. So unlike Switch 1 players, Switch 2 users get a beefy 8.2GB patch, essentially turning this into a Switch 2 edition in everything but name. Again, very similar to 3D World, Link's Awakening and all of the Nintendo free patch games. But to backtrack for a moment, how did Dragon Quest III HD-2D run on the Switch 1? Well, not perfectly. The game ran with a 30 FPS cap, but when it came to busy areas like towns and places with complex lighting and effects, the Switch 1 could dip quite drastically. It is worth noting the Switch 2 did fix these dips, still at the 30 FPS cap, but by default it did fix them. But we're looking at now a proper optimized patch. So there's now 2 graphics modes. There's graphics and performance. The graphics mode runs at 30 FPS, whereas performance finally bumps this version up to 60 frames per second, and it is delightful and game-changing. You'll notice that there is a visual difference between the two, but it's honestly not that drastic, and the fidelity is absolutely worth the trade-off of slightly better image quality. But regardless, both modes are drastically better than the vanilla unpatched version. Here's them side by side. We're starting with performance here, the old unpatched version on the left, and the brand new patched version on the right. Both screens are zoomed in, so they're both losing something, but of course the one on the left is losing so much more. And if you're not already, please watch this on a big 4K screen. Your phone probably won't perceive the actual details here. Graphics mode looks even better. You can barely even tell that the image is zoomed in, unlike the old one, which you can very much tell. Now let's bypass the zoom and look at them full screen. This is what you'll see when actually playing the game. Here's the graphics mode, and here is the performance mode. Just to really show the difference, here are the two in motion, and the 60 FPS improvement is vast here. But that's side by side with the unpatched version. You're probably wondering outside of frame rate, what are the core difference between performance and graphics? So let's put them side by side. Performance on the left, graphics on the right. Both of them are zoomed in, and again, I recommend watching this on a much larger screen, if you can. You can perceive quite a large difference when just toggling the option back and forth, especially on the sprites, but it seems very similar to how PlayStation 5 handled its quality and performance mode. But the performance mode really is what it's all about. Beforehand, there was a question whether you'd get this on Switch or PlayStation 5, simply because PS5 ran better. But now Switch 2 basically brings it up to par with PlayStation 5. This is the version to get. And I've also seen some people saying that the patch made their game load slower. I'm not really sure about this. This may be particular to certain people, but at least in my situation, being running on the game card, it's a universal improvement. The load times already weren't that long, but you're looking at about a second faster than the original unpatched version, both running on Switch 2. So going into a town now takes 1.8 seconds rather than 2.7 seconds, and going from town to overworld now takes 4.01 seconds rather than 5.07 seconds. So universally, about a second faster. Battles don't really change at all. I think these are always somewhat loaded in the background, so when you enter a battle, when you exit a battle, you're looking at small micro milliseconds. There really is no difference there. So yeah, this is an essential patch. If you didn't play Dragon Quest III HD-2D, now is the time. The Switch 2 version is fantastic. It loads faster, it looks better, both in performance and the graphics modes, and it hits 60 FPS all of the time. Even in the areas where Switch 1 would drop frames from 30 to around 20, it holds a steady 60. I didn't knock this line a single time. So you can play in graphics mode if you want to and get the ultimate quality, but I think you're really going to forget about all the microscopic improvements while actually playing. And the 60 FPS is just something you shouldn't turn your nose at. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I was going to test Romancing Saga as well, but despite this being the Switch 2 Edition eShop page, with the word Switch 2 Edition plastered everywhere, the demo on this Switch 2 Edition page is the Switch 1 demo, and I haven't got the game, so we're not doing that one. But here's Dragon Quest. What a strange little page, huh? Anyway, thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.